The Galactic Council's visit. The stars glittered in the vast black sky, each one a distant light, some bright, some fading. Among them, a massive ship moved silently, cutting through the void with a purpose. It was not just any ship. It belonged to the Galactic Council, a group of powerful alien races that ruled over countless planets across the galaxy. This was the first time the Council had ever visited Earth, and the whole galaxy was watching. Inside the ship, the leaders of the Galactic Council gathered in a large meeting room. Their faces were serious, their eyes filled with expectations. They had studied Earth from afar for many years, observing its progress, its technology, and its people. What they saw was a primitive world, filled with conflict, wars, and a population that struggled to survive. The Council thought of Earth as weak, unimportant. The other species in the galaxy, with their advanced technology and peaceful civilizations, had little interest in a world like Earth. "This is a waste of time," said Anrith, the representative from the Andromeda system. His species was one of the oldest and most advanced in the galaxy. His voice was sharp, filled with disdain. "We have better things to do than waste time with these humans. What are they really capable of? They're barely out of their Stone Age." "Patience," replied Quessel, a member of the Xantarian race, whose species was known for their wisdom and strategic thinking. "We must understand them better. There is something unusual about Earth. It might be more than it seems." Anrith was unconvinced, but said nothing more. The Council ship continued its journey through the stars, heading toward Earth's solar system. As the ship approached Earth, the visitors' sensors scanned the planet below. They expected nothing more than a chaotic, unorganized world. They were ready to dismiss the humans as insignificant. However, what they found was strange. There was something hidden, something that didn't make sense. Earth's surface appeared peaceful, but the readings were far more complex than they anticipated. This can't be right," said Quessel, staring at the data. "They have energy readings higher than any primitive world should. There's something here we don't understand." The Council leaders were silent. They had been expecting to land on a weak, defenseless planet. But now, their curiosity was piqued. What was humanity hiding? The ship landed on Earth's surface with a soft thud. The sky was a brilliant blue, and the air smelled fresh. Humans, dressed in their simple clothes, lined up in neat rows to greet their visitors. They stood tall, their faces filled with a mixture of curiosity and caution. They had no idea who, or what, was arriving. As the Galactic Council members stepped off their ship, their eyes took in the sight of Earth's people. There was nothing special about them at first glance. They looked like any other species in the galaxy, small and fragile. But it was their energy that caught the Council's attention. It was unlike anything they had ever felt before. "This is Earth?" asked Zukrin, a high-ranking officer from the Chiron race, his voice filled with disbelief. "It's nothing like I expected." Just then, a low rumble echoed through the air. A massive shadow appeared in the distance, slowly growing larger. The ground trembled beneath their feet. The Galactic Council members turned to see what was causing the noise. From behind a tall mountain range, a huge shape emerged. At first, it looked like a strange cloud, but as it came closer, the Council realized it wasn't a cloud. It was a ship, a warship, the likes of which they had never seen before. The ship moved forward with purpose, its dark metal surface gleaming in the sunlight. It was enormous, easily the size of a small city. Its design was sleek, angular, and terrifying. It was clearly a military vessel, and the Council members could feel the power radiating from it. The humans didn't seem afraid. In fact, they watched the ship approach with calm faces, as if they had seen it many times before. The ship landed, and the ground shook again, this time with a force that sent dust into the air. The massive ship seemed to almost swallow the sky with its size. "By the stars, what is this?" Anrith whispered, his voice barely audible. The Council members stood frozen, unable to take their eyes off the ship. They had seen many battleships in their time, ships of destruction, weapons of war, but none like this. There was a cold silence between them as they waited for the humans to explain. Then, from the shadows of the ship, a human stepped forward. He was dressed in military uniform, his face stern but calm. He saluted the council in a simple, respectful gesture. "We are Earth's military command. Welcome to our planet." For a moment, the council members were speechless. They had expected to meet a primitive, weak race, but instead, they were confronted with a power they could not understand. The humans had a battleship, an enormous, advanced ship that could destroy fleets with ease. They had never been told about this. How did you build this?" Questel finally asked, his voice shaky with surprise. "You are a primitive species. How do you possess such advanced technology?" The human officer smiled slightly, but didn't answer. Instead, he motioned toward the ship behind him. "This," he said, "is just one example of what Earth can do." The Galactic Council was silent. They had come to Earth expecting to find nothing of value. Instead, they had found something much more dangerous. This wasn't a planet they could simply conquer or ignore. Earth had something powerful, something the galaxy had never seen before. Earth's hidden weapon. The Galactic Council was in shock. They had come to Earth expecting to find a weak and primitive world, one that they could easily dismiss. Instead, they had found something entirely unexpected. A massive, advanced battleship that seemed capable of challenging their might. The council members were left speechless, their minds racing as they tried to comprehend what they had just witnessed. As the humans led the visitors towards the heart of Earth's military command center, the air was thick with tension. Every step felt heavier for the council members. What had they missed? How had a species, considered primitive by the rest of the galaxy, built such a powerful ship? The questions flooded their minds, but no answers were forthcoming. Inside the military base, they were escorted into a large meeting room. It was a simple place, bare walls, unadorned furniture, and a large holographic table at the center. At one end, a group of human officers stood waiting. They looked nothing like the council's guests, who wore elegant robes and uniforms from across the galaxy. The humans were in plain, military gear, their faces serious but not unfriendly. The officer who had greeted them outside took the floor. His name was Captain James, and he seemed to be in charge of this particular facility. He addressed the group calmly, though the council could sense the weight of his words. "We have much to show you," Captain James said, his voice steady but firm. "What you saw outside is only the beginning. Earth has many secrets, and one of those is our greatest weapon." The words hung in the air, each syllable making the council members more uneasy. What did he mean? What was this greatest weapon they spoke of? They had come expecting to find a weak planet to study and perhaps conquer, but now they weren't so sure. Could Earth really be hiding more than just a single battleship? Captain James activated the holographic table. The projection flickered to life, showing a detailed map of Earth's continents, oceans, and military bases. The image zoomed in on a large, heavily guarded area in the Arctic Circle, a place where no one in the galaxy had ever bothered to look. "This is where it all began," Captain James continued. "Our most secret project. Hidden from the rest of the world for decades, it was our last line of defense." The council members leaned forward, their curiosity piqued. What was this place? What did it hold? The map on the table shifted, and the image revealed a massive underground facility, far larger than anything the council had ever seen. It was a sprawling complex, with tunnels, chambers, and laboratories buried deep within the icy earth. As the hologram zoomed in, it revealed something even more astonishing. Towering machines, strange energy sources, and advanced technology that was impossible to classify. "This facility," Captain James said, "houses the research and development that made our battleship possible. But there's more. We didn't just build weapons. We built something that could change the balance of power in the galaxy." The Galactic Council members exchanged uneasy glances. What could Earth possibly have developed that would change the galaxy? Their minds raced, trying to find an answer. Then, Captain James continued. Do you know why we built the battleship? It wasn't just for defense. It was part of a larger plan. A plan to prepare for something far worse than any war with another species. Earth's greatest weapon is not just its military might. It is something unique. Something that we have kept hidden, even from our own people. A chill ran down the spines of the council members. They had thought they were in control. They had assumed that Earth, with its primitive technology and divided societies, would be an easy target. But now, they were beginning to realize that Earth had been hiding something far greater than they could have imagined. Captain James looked at them with a serious expression. What we've developed here, in this facility, is a weapon capable of more than just destruction. It's a weapon of creation, a weapon that can reshape entire civilizations. It's called Project Genesis. At the mention of Project Genesis, the room fell silent. No one had expected to hear such a thing. The name alone seemed to hold a power all its own. The council members stared at the captain, waiting for him to explain further. We've used technology from across the galaxy, Captain James continued, alien technologies that we found over the years, technologies that the rest of the galaxy thought were lost or useless. We've combined them with our own innovations, and now we've created something that no one can match. Project Genesis is a biological weapon, but it's not like any other weapon you've encountered. It has the power to enhance life, to evolve species, and even to alter the very fabric of reality itself. A gasp escaped from Sakrin, the Chiron officer. He had studied many different kinds of weapons, but nothing like this, a weapon that could alter life itself. This was far beyond anything he had ever imagined. Are you saying, Anrith asked, his voice low and filled with disbelief, that you've created a weapon that can change species, evolve them? Captain James nodded solemnly. Yes, Project Genesis is not just about warfare. It's about the future. Humanity's survival is tied to it. We've used it to enhance our own species, and we believe it holds the key to becoming something far greater. But it's not just for us. If the galaxy is willing to accept Earth as an ally, we will share it with the rest of the universe. If not, we will defend it with everything we have. The Council was stunned. They had come to Earth expecting to find a world to conquer, but now they were faced with a species that had created a weapon unlike anything they had ever seen. A weapon that could reshape the very laws of biology and evolution. The implications were staggering. Questel, the Xantarian, finally spoke, his voice quiet but filled with awe. You've created a new form of life, a new kind of power. Not just new, Captain James replied, his eyes hardening. A power that could change everything. The Galactic Council members were left speechless. They had come to Earth expecting to find a weak planet, ripe for exploitation. But now, they were faced with a terrifying truth. Earth had something far greater than they could ever have imagined. And it wasn't just a ship or a weapon. It was a new kind of power, one that could alter the course of history. The first test. The Galactic Council sat in stunned silence as the truth of Earth's secret weapons settled in. The shock of hearing about Project Genesis left them questioning everything they thought they knew about the human race. Earth had not only hidden advanced technology, but had created something far more powerful, an ability to reshape life itself, a force that could revolutionize entire civilizations. For days, the Council deliberated. Some members were eager to learn more, believing Earth's creation could be the key to the galaxy's future. Others feared what this new power meant, unsure whether humanity could be trusted with such knowledge. One thing was certain. The Council could not let this secret remain unchecked. Anrith, the representative from the Andromeda system, had finally had enough. He stood in front of the Council, his sharp voice cutting through the room. We've wasted enough time. The humans have shown us their power. It's time we test them. to see if they truly can be trusted with such a weapon. If they are as dangerous as we fear, we must act quickly before it's too late." The room fell silent again. Most of the members understood the weight of his words. Earth had demonstrated immense power, and the possibility of that power being used against the galaxy was too great to ignore. Questel, the wise Santarian leader, sighed deeply. "Are we truly ready for this? We have not yet even begun to understand their intentions. A test could escalate things beyond control." Anrith's eyes narrowed. "A test is the only way to be sure. If they are a threat, we must neutralize it before it spreads." The debate continued for hours, but in the end, the Council decided. They would stage a simulated attack on Earth, a test of humanity's defenses. It would be the first true test of Earth's power, and the first time the Council would see if the humans were as dangerous as their technology suggested. The day of the test. A fleet of ships, some of the most advanced in the galaxy, was assembled and set in motion toward Earth. The ships appeared as distant specks in the vastness of space, each one packed with alien soldiers and advanced weaponry. The Council's plan was simple: to approach Earth with overwhelming force, simulate a planetary invasion, and watch how the humans responded. They would use non-lethal weapons at first, to test the humans' reaction without causing too much damage. It was the perfect opportunity for the Council to learn what Earth was truly capable of. As the fleet neared Earth's orbit, the galactic ships entered a formation. Their sleek, silver exteriors reflected the light of distant stars as they closed in on the blue planet below. The human military had been notified of their approach, though they were unaware of the Council's true intentions. They had been told that the visitors were interested in peace talks, but when the alien ships arrived, everything changed. Captain James, who had been at the forefront of Earth's defense, stood in the command center of Earth's warship, the Titan. His gaze was fixed on the holographic display, showing the incoming alien fleet. His fingers tapped the console as he ordered the crew to prepare for the worst. "All systems online," a voice from the control room reported. "Shields at maximum. Weapons are primed." "Ready the ship," Captain James said. His voice was calm, but there was a tension in the air. His hands tightened on the edge of the console. He had no idea what the visitors wanted, but he knew one thing for sure: Earth would not back down. The Council watched from their ships as Earth's defenses came online. Their sensors picked up the massive warship, the Titan, along with a network of smaller ships that surrounded the planet. Earth was preparing for a confrontation. The Council hadn't expected such an immediate response. Their fleets were larger, more advanced, and they had the advantage. But for the first time, they'd felt the weight of doubt. Were the humans truly ready for this kind of fight? The test begins. The alien fleet dropped out of warp speed, positioning themselves in low orbit above Earth. Without warning, they unleashed their first wave of simulated attacks: laser fire, energy pulses, and missile strikes, all designed to test Earth's shields and defenses. From the ground, humanity's response was swift. The Titan's weapon systems powered up. A series of rapid-fire energy cannons blasted through space, hitting the incoming missiles and energy pulses with deadly accuracy. Earth's shields absorbed the alien weapons with ease, and the human warship retaliated, firing back with precision. The Council watched in disbelief. Earth's defenses were stronger than they had anticipated. Their ships hadn't even scratched the surface of Earth's shields. The test wasn't going as planned. But Anrith, who had been eager for a fight, wasn't ready to back down. He gave the order for the second wave of attacks. "Launch the fighters," he commanded. "It's time to see how the humans handle a full-scale invasion." Small, agile fighter ships flew from the Council's fleet, surrounding Earth's defenses like a swarm of hornets. The fighter ships attacked in unison, bombarding Earth's shields and attempting to break through. But once again, the humans responded swiftly. The Titan launched a series of counterattacks, sending swarms of defensive drones into space. They collided with the alien fighters in brilliant explosions, their lasers cutting through the sky like knives. On the ground, humans in their military bases scrambled to respond. Missiles fired from Earth's surface, streaking across the sky and hitting some of the alien ships. The Council's fleet began to take damage, with several ships retreating in haste. "Impossible," Zukren, the Chiron officer, shouted. "Their technology is primitive. How are they doing this?" Anrith watched as his fleet began to retreat. Earth was showing no signs of backing down. Their battle readiness was beyond anything the Council had imagined. The human ships were small compared to the alien fleet, but they fought with a ferocity that the Council had not expected. The humans were relentless, and their defense strategies were clever and unyielding. The revelation. Captain James watched from the Titan's bridge as the alien fleet began to retreat. His lips curled into a grim smile. Earth had passed the first test. But what did this mean for the future? The alien fleet, though still far superior in size and numbers, had failed to break Earth's defenses. The test had not been a simple exercise. It had been a warning. The Galactic Council had learned a valuable lesson. Humanity was not to be underestimated. Captain James turned to his officers, his face filled with a steely resolve. "Prepare for further communications," he said. "The galaxy will now know that Earth is no longer a primitive species. We have shown them what we can do. But we are not done yet. This war is only beginning." Humanity's resolve. The days following the Galactic Council's first test of Earth's defenses were filled with a heavy silence. The Council members, who had once viewed humanity as weak and unworthy, now found themselves questioning everything they thought they knew. Earth had held its ground, not only surviving the simulated attack, but making the alien fleet retreat. The humans had proven themselves resilient, capable of fighting back against a far superior force. Yet, for the Galactic Council, this victory only raised more questions. Was Earth a threat, or was it simply a fluke that their defenses held up? Was humanity hiding even greater powers, or had they only scratched the surface of what they were capable of? No one could deny that Earth had shown strength, but was that strength something the galaxy could trust? On Earth, the mood was tense but determined. News of the attack spread like wildfire across the planet. People from every nation were glued to their screens, watching as reports came in about the Galactic Council's test. For most, it was the first time they had seen their planet stand up to an outside force. Their battleship, the Titan, and the combined forces of Earth had successfully defended the planet from an overwhelming invasion. But for those in charge, there was no time to celebrate. Captain James and his team at Earth's military command were busy preparing for the next steps. They knew the Galactic Council would not simply give up. If anything, the first attack would only be the beginning of something much larger. Earth's defenses had passed the test, but now the question was, what would the galaxy do next? The call for leadership. Captain James sat in his office late into the night, staring at the holographic map of the galaxy. His face was lined with exhaustion, but his eyes burned with determination. The weight of his responsibilities was crushing, but he knew that the survival of his species rested on the decisions he made in the coming days. "Sir, the Council is demanding an immediate meeting," a voice called from the doorway. It was Lieutenant Sarah, his trusted second-in-command. She stepped forward, her face serious but calm. "They want us to come to a decision. Should we negotiate peace or prepare for another attack?" James ran a hand through his short-cropped hair, sighing deeply. "We've made our position clear to them already. But now, they want more. They'll come for us, no matter what. And if we give in, we could lose everything." Sarah finished for him. James nodded, looking back at the map. "It's not just about fighting them off. It's about showing them that Earth won't bow to anyone, not even the Galactic Council." Sarah remained silent for a moment, then stepped closer. "What if they demand we give up our technology? What if they want to take Project Genesis from us?" James clenched his jaw. "If they want to take it, they'll have to go through us first. No one is getting their hands on Project Genesis. Not now. Not ever. He stood up, straightening his uniform. Prepare for a broadcast. It's time we send a message to the galaxy. Let them know who they're dealing with. A message to the galaxy. The world watched as Captain James appeared on every major news channel, his face calm but resolute. He stood before a simple backdrop, the flag of Earth displayed behind him. It was the first time the planet's leaders had addressed the galaxy, and everyone knew that this message would be crucial in determining Earth's future. People of Earth, people of the galaxy, Captain James began, his voice steady but carrying the weight of the moment. We faced a challenge, one that few of us ever expected. The Galactic Council has tested us, pushing our defenses to the limit. But we stand here today, stronger than ever. Earth will not back down. We will not bend to the will of others, no matter how powerful they are. He paused, his gaze never leaving the camera. The Galactic Council has underestimated us. They believe we are weak, that we are nothing more than a speck in the universe, but they're wrong. Earth has always been stronger than they think. We've fought wars, survived disasters, and rebuilt from the ashes. We've evolved, and now we stand united, ready to protect our home, our people, and our future. He took a deep breath, his voice growing firmer. Our military is ready. Our people are ready. Project Genesis is ours, and no one will take it from us. We will negotiate, but we will never surrender. Earth is not just another planet in the galaxy. We are a force to be reckoned with. The broadcast cut to black, and the silence that followed was deafening. Across Earth, people stood in their homes, watching the message, some in awe, others in fear. But one thing was certain: humanity had just declared itself a player on the galactic stage. There would be no turning back. Galactic Council's response. Back in the heart of the Galactic Council's ship, the atmosphere was tense. Council members watched Captain James's broadcast in silence, each one processing the message in their own way. There was no denying that Earth had proven itself a formidable opponent, but now the question remained: what would they do with this newfound knowledge? Such arrogance, muttered Andrith, the Andromeda representative. They think they can stand against us. They believe they can challenge the might of the Galactic Council. Quessel, the Xantarian representative, raised a hand to silence him. It's not arrogance, it's resolve. The humans are more dangerous than we thought. Their strength is real. Skren, the Chiron officer, nodded. They've shown us they can fight. But can they win? We have fleets, armies, and power beyond anything they can comprehend. The council fell into debate once again, some members pushing for peace, others calling for further action. But no one could agree on the next steps. One thing was clear: humanity had forced the galaxy to take notice. The council could no longer view Earth as an insignificant world. Earth's defenses were formidable, and the potential of Project Genesis could change the entire galaxy. In the meantime, Earth's leadership prepared for whatever came next. Captain James knew that they were walking a fine line. The galaxy was watching, and any misstep could lead to a conflict that could destroy everything humanity had worked for. Humanity's strength. On Earth, people from all walks of life rallied behind their leaders. The victory in the first test had sparked a sense of unity and pride. Military enlistments surged, and civilians volunteered for various missions, from research to technology development, all focused on ensuring Earth's survival. The message from Captain James had inspired not just the military but the entire planet. Across cities and towns, Earth's people began to prepare for what was to come. They had faced wars before, but this time was different. This time, they weren't fighting just for survival. They were fighting for their place in the galaxy. And Earth's resolve was clear. No matter what the Galactic Council did, humanity would never be the galaxy's pawn. They would fight for their freedom, their future, and their very existence. The enemy within. The tension in the galaxy had reached a boiling point. After Captain James's broadcast, the Galactic Council was on edge, unsure whether Earth's declaration of defiance was a bluff or a real threat. Earth's strength had been proven, but the Council couldn't risk underestimating humanity. In the coming weeks, military buildup across the galaxy intensified, and the once silent whispers of war became louder. On Earth, the mood was a mix of pride and fear. Humanity had shown its strength, but many knew that the Galactic Council would not let such an act of defiance go unanswered. War loomed over the planet, and everyone knew it would take everything they had to survive. Still, Earth's resolve remained unshaken. They had made their stand, and now they would have to prepare for the storm to come. But as Earth's leaders gathered to plan their next move, they discovered something far more dangerous than any alien fleet, something from within their own ranks. The hidden betrayal. It started as a whisper, an unnoticed crack in the walls of Earth's defense. Captain James had been meeting with his senior officers in the war room late at night, analyzing their strategies for the coming conflict. They were discussing the final touches on Earth's defense plans when the doors to the room suddenly opened, and a soldier entered. "Captain," the soldier said, looking nervous but determined, "we have a problem." Captain James frowned, standing up. "What is it, Lieutenant?" The soldier's face was pale. "I just got a message from one of our intelligence officers. He's uncovered something we never expected." He hesitated for a moment before continuing. "There's a leak. Someone in the higher ranks is working with the Galactic Council. They're feeding them information about Earth's defenses, strategies, technologies, everything." The room went quiet. James felt the blood drain from his face as the weight of the news settled over him. A traitor. Someone in Earth's leadership had been betraying them, working with the very people who were preparing to destroy them. This wasn't just a betrayal of trust. It was a betrayal of the planet itself. "Are you sure?" James asked, his voice a low growl. The soldier nodded grimly. "It's true. The intel is coming from inside. The leak is deep." The officers in the room exchanged worried glances. No one knew who the traitor was, but they all felt the gravity of the situation. If the Galactic Council had insider knowledge of Earth's plans, they could find ways to bypass their defenses. Worse yet, they could launch a surprise attack, one that Earth wouldn't be ready for. "We need to find out who's behind this," Captain James said, his voice hard. Now, the hunt for the traitor. The search for the traitor began immediately. Every department was put under scrutiny. Officers, analysts, and even scientists who had worked on Project Genesis were questioned. But as the days passed, the mystery deepened. The leak was well hidden, carefully covered by whoever was behind it. Nothing seemed out of place, until a small clue emerged. A team of researchers who had been working on advanced alien technology suddenly stopped communicating. Their last transmissions had been encrypted and contained strange anomalies. It wasn't just a technical glitch. Someone had intentionally altered the message. The encryption contained a series of coordinates, which led to a secluded location far outside the military perimeter, an area that was off-limits to nearly everyone. Captain James, now fully aware that time was running out, made the decision to follow the trail. He sent a special team of highly trained soldiers to the location. When they arrived, they found something that made their blood run cold, a hidden facility, deep within Earth's mountains, that housed several alien devices. But it wasn't the technology that shocked them. It was the people inside. The secret underground base. The team breached the facility, guns drawn, their footsteps echoing in the cold, silent halls. They had no idea what they would find, but they were prepared for anything. What they discovered was worse than they could have imagined. Inside, they found a group of high-ranking officers, many of whom had been trusted with the most sensitive information on Earth's defenses. And standing in the center of the room, with a calm and almost eerie expression, was a familiar face, General Caldwell, one of Earth's most respected military leaders. "General Caldwell," Captain James said, his voice a mixture of shock and anger. "What is this?" The general didn't flinch. His face remained emotionless, but his eyes were cold. "I suppose you found out the truth by now." "You've been feeding information to the Galactic Council," James said, his voice trembling with disbelief. "Why? Why would you do this?" Caldwell smiled, though it was a bitter, twisted expression. "Because Earth is doomed, James. You think you can defeat the Galactic Council with your little toy ship and your Project Genesis. They are too powerful, too advanced. You will never win. You're playing right into their hands. But I'm not the only one who believes this. There are others who think Earth should join the Council, not fight it. We have a choice, submission or extinction." James's anger flared, and he took a step forward, but his soldiers held him back. The general's words stung more than he cared to admit. There were others, high-ranking officials, who had been working to hand Earth over to the Galactic Council, believing that humanity had no chance on its own. It wasn't just one man's betrayal. It was a movement within the very heart of Earth's leadership. "You're wrong," Captain James said, his voice steady despite the fury boiling inside him. "Humanity will not kneel to anyone. We will fight, and we will win. I'll make sure of it." General Caldwell's expression didn't change. "You're a fool, James, and when you realize the truth, it will be too late." Earth's reaction. The revelation of the traitors sent shockwaves through Earth's leadership. There was no question now that Earth was under threat, not just from the Galactic Council, but from within. The traitors in the government and military had endangered everything they had fought for. The war for survival had just become even more complicated. Captain James, though shaken, was more determined than ever. He knew that the battle had now moved beyond mere space warfare. It wasn't just about defending Earth anymore. It was about purging the traitors from within and ensuring that Earth's future was secured. A new wave of fear and distrust swept across Earth. Citizens began to question their leaders, unsure who to trust. Yet, in the face of this chaos, there was a growing sense of unity among the people. Despite the betrayal, despite the uncertainty, humanity's resolve remained. "We are Earth," Captain James said, addressing the nation once more. "We will stand together. We will fight together. And we will never surrender." The war escalates. The betrayal within Earth's own ranks had shaken humanity to its core. Captain James and his allies had exposed General Caldwell's plot, but the damage was done. The traitors in Earth's military had compromised vital information, and now the Galactic Council had every advantage they needed to bring the war to its peak. Earth was no longer fighting just for survival against an overwhelming enemy. They were fighting against betrayal from within. And the stakes were higher than ever. For weeks, Captain James and his team worked tirelessly to contain the fallout. They'd purged the military of those who had sided with the Galactic Council, removing anyone who might pose a further threat to Earth's security. It was a brutal, chaotic time, with many in the military and government questioning their loyalty and motivations. Trust was shattered, and the weight of suspicion hung heavy over every meeting and every command. Despite the internal chaos, the war continued to rage in the stars. The Galactic Council, sensing their opportunity, launched an all-out offensive against Earth. They were determined to crush humanity's resistance once and for all. But Earth's people, though fractured, stood united in their resolve. They had already faced the first wave of the Galactic Council's attack and survived. Now, they would do whatever it took to keep their freedom. The Galactic Invasion. The day the invasion began, the sky above Earth was filled with the unmistakable sight of alien ships. Massive fleets descended upon Earth's orbit, their ships blocking out the stars. This was no longer a test. It was a full-scale attack, an attempt to wipe out humanity's future once and for all. The alien fleets were vast, far larger than Earth's forces. Dozens of ships, each more powerful than anything Earth had ever encountered, filled the sky. The Galactic Council had mobilized its best warships, soldiers, and strategies, all aimed at taking Earth's defenses down. Captain James stood on the command deck of the Titan, his eyes locked on the approaching fleet. The tension in the air was palpable, but his face remained calm. He knew that the fight ahead would be the hardest yet. All systems ready, Captain, Lieutenant Sarah reported, her voice steady. Shields at full power. Weapons systems are primed. James nodded, taking a deep breath. It's time. Let's show them what Earth is made of. With a single command, the fleet of human warships moved into position, surrounding Earth's cities in a defensive formation. The air was thick with energy as the first shots were fired. Blasts of light from the Titan's cannons cutting through the darkness of space, striking at the oncoming alien ships. The enemy didn't hesitate. Their first wave of attacks hit Earth's shields with overwhelming force, shaking the planet's defenses to their core. It was a battle like none before, with the fate of humanity hanging in the balance. Humanity fights back. As the battle raged on, Earth's military forces fought with everything they had. The Titan led the charge, its weapons dishing out destruction with deadly precision. Earth's fighter jets, small but nimble, darted through the alien fleets, launching missiles and energy blasts that tore through the enemy's ranks. But the Galactic Council's fleet was relentless. With each wave, they came closer to breaking through Earth's defenses. The alien ships were powerful, their weapons unlike anything Earth had seen before. Despite their best efforts, humanity was struggling to hold them off. Every blast of energy that struck the Titan made the ship shudder. Yet, the crew refused to give up. Captain, Lieutenant Sarah said, her voice tight with urgency. The enemy's main flagship is moving into position. If we don't take it down soon, they'll breach our defenses completely. James didn't hesitate. Target the flagship. All fire on that ship. A concentrated barrage of laser fire erupted from Earth's warships, focusing all their power on the alien flagship. The massive vessel, a towering beast of metal and energy, began to falter under the pressure. But it wasn't enough. The flagship returned fire, sending massive shockwaves through space that threatened to rip Earth's fleet apart. "We need backup," James muttered, more to himself than anyone else. Just as the situation seemed hopeless, a new voice crackled over the comm system. "This is Commander Leela of the Stellar Defender," the voice said, full of determination. "We've come to assist. Let's take down that flagship." From the shadows of space, new human warships emerged, a reserve fleet that had been kept hidden in case of such a moment. They arrived just in time, launching a final, coordinated assault on the enemy flagship. Together, Earth's forces pummeled the vessel until it exploded in a brilliant display of fire and light, its massive frame disintegrating into nothingness. The victory, though small, was enough to shift the momentum. The alien fleet, shaken by the loss of their flagship, began to retreat. But this battle was far from over. The Galactic Council was not one to back down easily, and they would return, stronger and more determined than before. The price of victory. With the flagship destroyed, Earth's fleet managed to drive back the remaining enemy forces. The retreating alien ships fled toward the edge of Earth's orbit, their losses too great to continue the fight. Humanity had survived another battle, but the cost was heavy. The Titan floated in space, battered but alive. Its hull was scared, its engines damaged, but the ship had held strong. Captain James stood at the bridge, his gaze distant. The victory was hard won, but it was only a temporary reprieve. The war was far from over. "Damage report, Lieutenant," he asked, his voice quiet. Sarah's face was tight with stress. "We've lost a few ships, Captain. The fleet is in rough shape, but we're still operational. The damage to the Titan is severe, but nothing we can't fix." James nodded, but his thoughts were elsewhere. The fight against the Galactic Council was only escalating, and Earth had paid a heavy price to win this battle. They couldn't afford another hit like this. "We'll need to rebuild," James said, his voice low. "We've won a battle, but the war is far from over. The Council will be back, and next time, we have to be ready." The last hope. As Earth's people celebrated their temporary victory, there was a growing sense of urgency. The Council's retreat was not an end. It was a signal that they were regrouping, preparing for a final assault. Captain James and his team knew that they had to push forward, no matter the cost. A new plan was forming, one that could change the tide of the war, but it came with its own risks. Humanity's greatest weapon, Project Genesis, was still a secret. Its potential was limitless, but the risks of using it were enormous. If Earth was to survive, they would need to harness that power. But would they be ready to unleash it? Captain James turned to his team, the weight of the decision settling in his chest. "We've been given a chance to win this war," he said quietly, "but it's going to take everything we have. No more hesitation, no more doubt. It's time we fight for our future, and we don't stop until we've won." The final stand. The war had dragged on for months, each day bringing new challenges, new losses, and new victories. Earth's defenses had been tested to their limits, but Captain James and his crew refused to back down. Humanity had shown the Galactic Council that they were not a weak, insignificant planet, but a force to be reckoned with. But despite their resolve, the Council was relentless. They had regrouped, learned from their mistakes, and were now preparing for their final assault. Captain James knew the next battle would be the one that determined Earth's future. The stakes were higher than ever. Humanity had only one chance to end the war. If they failed, they would lose everything. But there was hope. Project Genesis, a secret weapon that could change the course of the war, had finally been brought to completion. The question was, would it be enough to defeat the overwhelming power of the Galactic Council? The calm before the storm. It was quiet on Earth's warships. The fleet was spread out across space, each ship waiting for the final order. Crew members sat in tense silence, their eyes fixed on their stations, their minds focused on the coming battle. The Galactic Council's forces were approaching, massive, fearsome, and ready to strike. Captain James stood on the bridge of the Titan, his eyes staring out at the dark expanse of space. He could feel the weight of the moment pressing down on him. The future of Earth, the future of humanity, rested on their shoulders. His hands were steady, his mind clear, but inside, there was a storm of emotions. He had never been more certain of one thing: Earth had to win, no matter what. "This is it, Sarah," James said quietly to his second-in-command, Lieutenant Sarah. "The final battle. We've come this far, but if we don't pull together now, it's all for nothing." Sarah nodded, her face serious. "We've fought hard, Captain. We can do this. We have to." James met her gaze. "Project Genesis is our last hope. If we can't use it to defeat them, then we'll need to fight with everything else we have left." The two of them shared a look, a shared understanding that whatever happened next, they would give everything for Earth. They had no other choice. The Council's final assault. In the heart of the Galactic Council's fleet, the alien leaders were preparing their final strike. The battle would be massive, the stakes higher than ever. Every ship in their fleet was mobilized, and their weapons systems were primed. They knew this would be their last attempt to crush Earth's resistance. If they failed, their dominance in the galaxy would be threatened. The Council's flagship, a massive warship brimming with advanced weaponry, loomed at the front of the fleet. It was surrounded by dozens of smaller, heavily armed ships, each one more powerful than anything Earth had faced before. The strategy was clear. They would overwhelm Earth's defenses with sheer force. No amount of resistance could stand against them. On the Titan, Captain James watched as the enemy fleet neared Earth. The enemy ships appeared as dark shadows in space, vast and threatening. But this time, Earth was ready. "We've got one shot at this," James said, his voice filled with grim determination. "All ships prepare to engage. We're taking the fight to them." The first wave of destruction. The first wave of the battle was chaos. The enemy opened fire immediately, their weapons lighting up the dark void of space with terrifying brilliance. Earth's fleet returned fire, the powerful blasts of the Titan's cannons streaking across space, striking alien ships with deadly accuracy. The battle was fierce, with explosions lighting up the heavens as Earth's forces held their ground. But the Galactic Council's fleet was overwhelming. For every ship Earth destroyed, 2 more seemed to take its place. The Titan's shields were tested to their limits, flickering under the strain of the alien barrage. Earth's warships fought valiantly, but it was clear that the enemy's firepower was superior. "We can't keep this up much longer," Lieutenant Sarah called out, her voice tight with urgency. "Our shields are weakening. If we don't find a way to turn the tide, we'll be overwhelmed." Captain James looked around the bridge, his mind working at a rapid pace. The solution was clear, but dangerous. Project Genesis, the weapon they had worked so hard to develop, was Earth's only hope. It had the power to destroy entire fleets, but it also carried a great risk. If they used it, there was no turning back. "Sarah, prepare the Project Genesis launch sequence," James ordered, his voice calm but resolute. Sarah's eyes widened. "Captain, are you sure? We don't know what kind of impact it'll have." "It cold." "I know the risks," James interrupted, "but we have no choice. We need to end this now." The unleashing of Project Genesis. In the heart of the Titan, the massive energy core of Project Genesis hummed to life. The device, a combination of Earth's best technology and alien knowledge, pulsed with raw power. It had taken years of research, countless resources, and the combined efforts of the best minds on Earth to create. And now, it was Earth's last weapon. "Project Genesis ready," Sarah said, her fingers hovering over the controls. "Firing sequence in progress." Captain James watched the energy levels rise, his eyes locked on the readout. The weapon was building power at an alarming rate, the energy levels surging higher and higher. If they could release that energy in a single blast, it could destroy the entire galactic fleet. "Do it, Sarah," James said, his voice a quiet command. With a deep breath, Sarah activated the weapon. A burst of brilliant energy erupted from the Titan, a wave of light that tore through space like a thunderclap. The energy blast surged toward the galactic fleet, an unstoppable force of destruction. Alien ships were caught in the blast, their shields evaporating in seconds, their hulls melting under the sheer power of the attack. The flagship of the Galactic Council, the heart of their fleet, was the first to fall. The blast ripped through its massive form, exploding it into a cloud of debris. One by one, the alien ships began to break apart, their formations disintegrating under the wave of Earth's power. For a moment, there was silence. The galaxy seemed to hold its breath as the enemy fleet began to scatter, retreating in disarray. Earth had done it. They had turned the tide of the war with a single decisive strike. Victory and sacrifice. But victory came at a heavy price. The Titan systems were failing. The power drain from Project Genesis had crippled the ship's core. The massive energy release had caused a cascade of damage throughout the vessel, and alarms blared throughout the ship. "Captain, we've lost primary systems," Sarah said, her voice strained. "We can't hold together much longer." James looked at her, his face filled with both relief and sorrow. The war was over, but at what cost? Earth had won, but they had paid the price with the destruction of their flagship. He had done what he had to. But now he had to make sure humanity could rebuild. "Prepare for emergency evacuation," James said, his voice steady. "We're getting everyone off this ship." A new beginning. The battle was won, but the war had left deep scars. Earth's fleet had been damaged, many lives had been lost, and the cost of victory weighed heavily on Captain James and his crew. But the Galactic Council had been defeated. Earth had proven its strength, and humanity had earned its place in the galaxy. As Earth's warships limped back to the planet, battered but triumphant, humanity looked to the future. The war was over, but the work of rebuilding had just begun. Captain James stood on the deck of the Titan, watching the Earth below. It had been a long, hard road, but Earth had survived. "We did it," Sarah said softly, standing beside him. "Yes, we did," James replied, his voice filled with pride and hope. "Now it's time to build something new, a future for humanity." And as Earth's survivors looked to the stars, They knew one thing for certain. No matter what the galaxy threw at them, humanity would stand tall. Earth was no longer just a small planet in a corner of the galaxy. It was a force to be reckoned with.